Over 80 disc golfers are free agents this offseason, and with things looking darker than ever, we at the Disc Golf World decided it might be fun to give our predictions. I'm Jefferson, and alongside me I got Swiss Cheese. We typically script videos, but we wanted to try something a bit different here. If you enjoyed this style, make sure to drop a like and comment. Who knows, maybe we'll do it more often. Or you can check out the full video over on Patreon for unfiltered disc golf opinions. Or you can just subscribe as we continue to bring you videos every day of December. Only right way to start off this is with Innova's free agents. Bradley Williams.
Man, right off the gate.
Off the gate.
We're going Innova, and we're going to go like a tweener like Bradley. Oh, man.
He's been on the team forever, though.
He has been on the team forever. I could see him locking in. I could see Bradley like having an easy 1-year deal. So like I would lean towards him returning to Innova.
And talk about Innova too. We're gonna quickly realize how many players are
Yeah,
and you're gonna say some names that you used to be like, oh, obviously may not be that case anymore.
Yeah.
As we go down right away, this no longer playing, but still a big part of disc golf. Philo. Like, in my head, it's like, how do you say Philo and not Innova? Like,
would this even be brought up if the Climo news didn't happen just recently? Also,
that's
like,
true.
We would have just written this off as like, that's a lock. Let's just move on. With some other names that are also coming up that I know from Innova.
Some big ones.
Yeah, I think Philo is another fairly easy. You're matching maybe a slight increase from the last contract, and you're running it. And I think Philo is easily jumping on that.
And I think when it comes down to, and this philosophy will come to a bunch of players on these lists, is who else is going to pay them more? I think Innova pretty much. Maybe Philo is the debatable one, but going into someone like maybe Joel Freeman, who hasn't necessarily saw the greatest success last season and what he did in the past, will someone pay more for Joel Freeman, or will Innova just ride that wave?
Yeah, I could see. Do you want my opinion on Joel?
Sure.
I think Joel is a great fit at Prodigy.
Now we're getting some big hitters to wrap up MPO side of Innova. Big Jerm.
Again, another one of these that, like, how do you not? Your Thunderbirds.
You get so much advertising with Gomez too. You're not just getting the discs, and the Thunderbird is one of the most sought after tour series every single year. So it would make no sense to give up Big Germ, but I'm not counting anything out.
You need Germ like with an Innova logo shirt just for whenever disc golf's in North Carolina.
What about Greg Barsby, former world champion, the people's champion?
If we're talking like shrinking dollars, like if the offer is lower, I could see Greg possibly thinking of like landing somewhere else or hustling like an open bag. But I'm leaning towards staying with Innova still. You can't let 2 world champions go.
Moving on to the FPO now, we have Jessica Weiss.
Yes.
Staying.
Yes.
Juliana Corver then. That one's pretty much locked too. That one's like a for lifer.
Definitely, yeah.
What about Haley King? Young prospect for the longest time. We always say a very high ceiling.
I think she feels very comfortable with Innova. And I think Haley is such like a feel player. So I think she's invested with Innova. And that's why I think she is staying.
I'm on the same page there. What about Owen Scoggins?
I don't know if there's going to be enough interest in Owen that they're going to match or exceed Innova.
I get what you're saying. And I agree, but for some reason I've just had an awful feeling of the past couple of weeks. I don't even know why it started. I was just scrolling through Instagram one day, saw it, was like, it texted you immediately, was like, is Owen a free agent? You said, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if she'll be at Innova. I just don't know. That sounds like a wild thing to say out loud, but it's just the way my mind's been thinking. A former Pro Tour champion and personality, Cat Merch.
This one could garner some other attention. Like, man, Prodigy's going to be the mystery, but man, like, why not Prodigy?
Man, I see what you're saying, but like, when has Prodigy ever gone after an FPO team?
Oh, no, I'm not going to argue that. She should be an attractive off-season acquisition for anybody who's acquiring. Now, are there many people acquiring is a whole separate question. Gosh, man, like, I think the only question is like, would Discraft bring her on? And I want to say no. I just don't think that fits.
Well, speaking of Discraft, that's the next manufacturer we're going to. So jumping straight back into the MPO because they have also a heavy list right here. We got Chris Clemens.
If he was on the elite team, I would say he would be no longer on the elite team. If he's not, I could see him signing again.
What about Ben Calloway? Also wasn't on the elite team.
For Ben, I think it's about time for a move.
Andrew Presnell didn't start last season on the elite team, but got upgraded after the major win. Do you see him leaving Discraft after? It seems like he's been done with them, I think, 6 years.
No. Yeah, he's locked in.
He's one of those
like
lifers, it feels, yeah.
He's a lifer. That for sure feels that way. He's always been notoriously like announcing early, everything along those lines too.
Now we get to some of the big hitters.
Nice.
What about Anthony Barella?
If AB leaves Discraft, it might be the largest fumble since Macbeth leaving Innova.
And Discraft does have the best marketing.
Yeah.
If anyone is doing great for their players, it is Discraft. You see the 4 different.
He can't leave because of the jersey sales.
I'm saying you look at any professional course, you look around, and it's like there's one, there's a different one. That's a third design I've seen. It's crazy. He's so marketable, and it's not going away.
I would love for it to happen because I'd absolutely rip Discraft, but it's not going to happen.
It's not happening. Moving on to the powerhouse content creator himself, Ezra Aderhold.
This has got to be another like must sign. Keep on the elite team.
Some of the best content in the game right now.
Yeah, you can't afford to allow this guy to leave.
Some chatter though has been surrounding former major winner Corey Ellis, however.
Yeah, Corey Ellis is the big if.
That was the one that I was like, I see it, maybe. Adam Hammis.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be this offseason. I think he's tied in to Discraft for a while. I think he stays. Yeah.
What about Brody Smith?
Discraft will be foolish to like lose Brody in that capacity. But I just can't foresee him doing an elite team on the elite squad.
I predicted for a while now that he might get moved to the Icon team. We already see players playing right now. Paul Ulibarri, as co-host, is on the Icon team. Who knows? Moving on to the FPO now, Valerie Mandujano. And we saw her sister already did sign.
She should. Discraft should lock her up.
Talked about Prodigy a lot already. I mean, in a lot of videos you've already seen.
Because I don't know what they're going to do. They scare me the
You're
most.
trying to give some feelers out so they don't hate us for breaking everything and talking so much shit. I get it. I understand. Isaac Robinson.
I think he lands somewhere with House of Discs. I don't necessarily think that's Discmania. I'll say that.
But when they're talking about selling plastic, why have a competition? Why be head-to-head with Gannon and Isaac for your own sake and for the House of Discs sake? Because if we're talking about someone who has a business mentality, that's House of Discs for you. And this is what I heard from a former employee a while back, was that the setup of the dichotomy of the brands was Latitude was supposed to be your big like team force, and I know people point at Gannon now, but also gotta remember that wasn't really expected. It wasn't. They didn't really think Gannon was gonna go pop off for the best season ever. In their minds, they were pairing with already the goat of the FPO. Yeah. Like you already have Tatar. Now you pair it with two-time world champion Isaac Robinson.
Yeah, you're talking world champs, right? A world champion line. Yeah, and
they already have that stick.
That's kind of what I alluded to. I think it's fair enough to say that. Like, I think Latitude makes sense.
Now the brother, Ezra Robinson.
Discraft.
We were told, we were the ones that broke this news a while back. It would be kind of lame and shitty of us to not do that now. So yeah, Discraft. Aiden Scott, fan of the show.
If Aiden was sitting next to me, I would probably tell him to stay with Prodigy.
MVP Discs made waves the past couple seasons. Do you see that being any sort of way? And not really, because I looked at the list and it's really just Paul Kranz on the MPO side, which I don't see leaving. I don't know.
I don't see.
On the FPO side for MVP, then, you have Silva Sarnan, who did make a name for herself.
Must get signing for MVP. Absolutely. Like,
she's the face of the
You want to talk like, she's a top 5 FPO.
Heading over to the House of Discs lineups now. We're going to start it off with Discmania. Hit him with Silas Schultz.
And he is that open bag probable. He's on that list, like where I could see an open bag for sure.
Our boy Casey White, who did tell us very early on the championship that he had no sight of leaving Discmania. However, also told me that he didn't have talks at that point yet with Discmania. So, and then we're hearing words from others in the community saying MVP's in his future, but with Discmania left that comment that said that he had something in the works. I don't really know. Do you have any way that you're falling, either staying with Discmania?
I'm
leaving?
really more mad at Casey for not like hitting us up and being like, "Hey guys,
This is going
I'm
on.
okay. I just want to know if you're okay. I really don't need to know, like, with a lot of you guys, really. Like, if you could just hit us up and be like, hey, it's fine, or hey, it is bad. I don't need details. It could be all off the record. I just want to know some people okay. And like, we've named plenty of names on this list that Jay and I have talked about where I'm like, I really hope that's happening. I think if he's getting the bag, it's got to be somewhere else. And that may be another company. So, like, man, if you're asking me right now, I went from like solid 80% Casey's going to Discmania to I might be like 60-40 leaving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that one, but okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Ella Hansen?
This does need to be a must for FPO. Again, another, like, if you're only going to rock one or two, you got to like seal them up.
Heading over to Latitude 64, I just have written down on the list of Europeans.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. I wrote down like Lori Lightnin and Jakub Semrad, but the rest is just Europeans because I feel like they're all going to get signed. That's Latitude's thing also. What about Rebecca Cox?
I would be more surprised that Tati doesn't sign than Rebecca Cox.
Would you be more surprised if Zach Melton left Dynamic Discs? And everyone at home is just like, no way, that's not happening. From what we've heard,
Bro, House of
You might
Disc
be
is like, man, House of Disc just has so much question marks in my brain that I don't know.
Jesse Niemanen being on Castplast, now that contract is up, do you see that making any changes?
Even with a win under his belt, huge question mark. I hope so.
Are they going to make him a different putter?
No.
Even if he keeps asking.
No, they're not going to give him that plastic type, unfortunately.
Braden Sides. This is an asterisk, by the way, but we're pretty sure.
Yeah. We can Google that later.
Yeah. I don't see him going. If him and Joey are going to still be touring around in the big old
Kind of agree.
machine, then they're going to be on
I kind of
their
agree.
team, I feel.
Kind of agree.
But I don't know if I could say the same about Stacey Ronsley, who talked a real rough in her Instagram captions the ending half that season.
I could see this being an open bag and possibly off the tour altogether.
Sully Tipton, Evan Scott, Parker Welk, Jake Mon, Tristan Tanner, Andrew Marweed, and Cole Dolan all are up this year. And we can't necessarily say what we all know from information, but we've heard that DGA might be making some insane plays that could just put all these players in jeopardy.
Yeah, we have heard that.
But that's just a rumor that we heard. We don't know
Yeah.
that that could even come to fruition.
Yeah, that has.
And I was
stated.
pissed because we're not saying what it is.
No, everyone's gonna be so mad. If we are hearing that move happens, that you're talking like one or two, if none.
Do you think that Andrew Marweed's a lock? Because right now, I just don't see a world in which Andrew Marweed isn't on DGA. I don't know why that is. It just feels like they will offer him the biggest contract for what he's done.
Andrew Marweed's the safest out of that group for returning to DGA. Cole Dolan, man, Cole Dolan's a giant question mark.
Didn't have the greatest season of last year. It had a little bit of a bump in the road PR-wise. Had to win the prior season. But he also was facing injuries, I feel like.
Yeah, he
a
had some.
lot
Yeah, he had
of
some
stuff.
lingering stuff. He's definitely like a top 5 free agent in this market. Even if you don't think AB's going, I think he should be on that list. Young, talented. He is a winner. So like he should. Again, this is a classic. Like if Cole Dolan was on the free agency market, even with everything that happened this year, 2 years ago, he would still be he would be having far more manufacturers calling him.
We've heard some rumors talking about Lone Star not having a pro team altogether. Don't know if that's true or not, but they have some free agents in Jake Hubenheimer.
Yeah, I don't see, like, if they're going to rock a squad, they're going to rock it with Hubenheimer and Burridge.
No AJ Carey and Deanne Carey.
Oh, All right. If AJ Carey and Deanne Carey are not on Lone Star, I think there are worse problems.
The last manufacturer we have then is Thought Space. First person we have coming off a win, James Proctor.
Top 5 free agent in this offseason. Man, part of me, I just really don't know, like, the turnaround on those sales. Like, I see them hustling on stops, and they do a great job on stops. I just don't know, like, big picture. This is a must sign for Thought Space. It would be interesting to see, like, I think James is marketable for other brands. I just don't know. Like,
I feel bad because he was someone that didn't tour because of the money for so long. Money seemed good, toured, now went to absolute garbage.
yeah, and I also think like he's kind of comfortable with the open bag.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like established that flexibility, and I think it's got him the win. So like, why kind of like switch that up?
What about Chandler Fry and friend Thomas Gilbert? We'll both throw him in there. Matt Bell too. Why not? We're coming down.
We're
to the
gonna
end
go
of the
out.
video.
Yeah, okay.
We're coming down to the end.
Chandler Fry should be a yes. He's another possible open bag, but I would put him as a yes. Matt Bell, I think he have a duel? Is he just Thought Space? How come I thought he was?
I feel like he's the openish bag. I think EV7, the putter.
Yeah, I think they're gonna keep Matt Bell too.
Now we're gonna head off to some of the miscellaneous players that weren't sponsored prior, or they had an open bag type of situation. Sticking it off with someone who had an excellent season, coming off getting basically booted from a sponsor, treating you horribly, then balling out in, I mean, both of them, Gavin Rathbun and Austin Turner, both did what they absolutely needed to do, probably besides get a win, maybe a few better finishes, but they both had their best years. They did what you were quote unquote supposed to do.
Gavin's a good question because I don't know if he wants to. Part of me thinks like,
He's just balling.
Yeah, man. Like I think, like, just remembering him on tour, like I've never seen like him more comfortable with his bag than at this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe that like translates to his play. And do you want to like possibly shake that up? Especially when you got a good relationship with Double Eagle. Good question. But like I would hope that like at the very least he's getting some discs, like single discs. That's another thing that we could possibly see. Like you could see a lot of these pros being forced to go open bag, but hey, throw this line up, throw this. And I would hope that like, I know Gavin did it with his putter, but like, why not lean into those like mids and like just sell yourself?
Whatever you can get, basically.
Absolutely.
Put your name on a big whack, you do whatever.
For sure. So like hopefully you can kind of get those. Gavin is a player that should be getting paid. Like, let's be real. And Austin Turner is right there up there. 1030 plus rated.
Mm-hmm.
Great social media presence. Had a very solid year this year also. Had his name on coverage. Yeah, Turner should be another rostered player, but not sure.
From what we've heard, too, is he can't even get really into communication with the manufacturers, and that's what we've heard over and over again from people.
Yeah, man. Part of me feels like I did
range.
not do enough like open bag.
Yeah,
yeah. Part of me is just like I should have like just gone gut and been like open bag.
In my head too, every time we're like they'll probably stay. That's probably more often.
Yeah,
us being nice, and they're gonna be probably open bag.
Yeah, and that's not even like against the player. That's just like the brands. Like I don't have that confidence.
And I see, and part of me also thinks maybe that for the brands throw very minimal cash at people, but they are left with no choice but to take it. And why would you take? If a brand was like, we'll pay $10K or we'll pay entry fees here, at the end of the day, if you still want to do even a partial tour, wouldn't you take it? And that's what might get misconstrued to the public because they're not really informing based on that. They're not going to tell that. They're not going to be open about that. And hopefully we can shed some light on situations that maybe not be as glorious as are portrayed as a professional disc golf lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Like we've done some hard-hitting reporting already with announcing pay cuts and stuff like that. But like if the market isn't helping you, that pay cut still might be the most that you get. And that's what I think is going to happen with a lot of players. Realization is like that the market is just not there.
And most of them still want to live that dream.
Yeah.
That's why they went on tour.
Like, man, if people are really, man, like like Jefferson said, and like other people have reported, and other people said, if you are really not getting answers when January 1st contracts are up and new announcements are happening, if the phones aren't being picked up now, like, you know what I mean? And that's also alluding to like, there's still some big puzzle pieces that are still yet to be in place. Like if these other ones aren't being called or not being talked to, they're waiting on other pieces of the puzzle to drop. That's what that's telling me.
And that's going to wrap up our predictions. Let us know in the comments down below if you think players are going to sign where, open back, or just go down the list like we did and let us know if you're going to spend that much time.
Good
We
luck.
appreciate you. We probably won't read it, but hey, shout out you for doing it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. We'll see you in the next one of Discmiss.